Okay, it says we're live, so let's do this. This is Kelly Coates Gilbert, and I am broadcasting tonight from Dallas, Texas. And I am so tickled that you guys are joining us because I have one of my favorite personal friends as well as authors. I started reading her well before I met Heather. Heather and I met probably at a Novelists Inc. conference in St. Pete, Florida, a couple of years ago. And then we just hit it off. I had read her books, loved them, went kind of fangirl. It was kind of funny because actually she had the cutest dang shoes on. I mean, I was as enamored with her shoes, but I came across the lobby and I saw this cute girl with these amazing shoes. And I thought, oh my gosh, it's Heather Burch. And so I went over and went, hello. And we hit it off. We went out to the Tiki Hut and had a drink. And then we ended up going and rooming together at the big book lovers convention in New Orleans. And we become fast friends. So it is my pleasure to introduce to you Heather Burch. Welcome, Heather.
Thank you. Hello, everybody. It is wonderful to be here. And, you know, as Kelly was going, oh my gosh, it's Heather Burch. I saw her coming from across the room and I was like, oh, hey, it's Kelly Coates Gilbert. I think she might be going to come and talk to us. So, you know, it was definitely a mutual respect thing for sure.
That's right. Yeah. And some of you who want to peek into the author world, we often become close friends, but we're close business associates as well. And this year, Heather and I have done something kind of special. We've become kind of writing partners.
We have.
We work almost every morning now, and she holds my feet to the fire. If I am not, if I'm, because authors sometimes will draft in their brain, but it doesn't always make its way to the page. And Heather will show me places where I need to pull a little more. And I help her. She helps me with my timelines because that's what I get screwed up all the time. But we exchange work every morning. So that's really fun.
Yeah, I love it. I love it. I mean, it's such for an author to have another author that we sort of write at the same speed, which helps as well. So, it's not like she's handing me 80 pages and I'm like, well, here's my 2, it's a really nice, it's just a nice flow. We do about the same number of pages a day. And, we just have a similar, even though our stories are very different, we have a similar story sensibility. So it's very easy for me. I'll send her a note that says, I'm playing in your playground again. I'm playing in your sandbox again, and because sometimes you just having fresh eyes on a project, you might see something a nuance of your story that you didn't even realize was there. And maybe you'd probably catch it in that next draft or that final draft, but when you catch it early, then you can really pull out those amazing, like little nuances that really are, I think, those things that make our books memorable, that make them characters that people, I still have people tell me about a character that I wrote like 7 years ago. And they're like, he's still my book grandpa,
Yeah. So, well, and sometimes we just won't pull all the emotion onto the page.
Yeah.
Because frankly, let's talk about that. It's our heart that's laying on that page. I mean, we don't pull it out of the air. We really do pull it from inside of ourselves, the really deep emotion.
Absolutely.
It's almost like you go to a funeral, you drive by a funeral, and when you're driving by, you feel sad for them.
Yeah.
But it's very different driving by a funeral and then sitting next to the gravesite.
Right.
That's the difference. And so we really help each other pull that emotion onto the page. Yeah. I want you to know just a little bit about your writing journey. When did you know that you were going to be a novelist?
Well, I had always written a lot, even from being a small kid. As soon as I could start writing. In fact, my first story was in the paper. I wrote a story about my grandpa. We were in Florida visiting, and my grandpa threw some, he chewed tobacco, but anyway, this was a lot of years ago. But he threw it on the beach, and the seagulls came, and a seagull grabbed it and landed on its back, like coughing. And we thought he killed the seagull, but then it got up and it spit it out and it flew off. But I wrote a story about that. I was like 7, I think. And my mom sent it to the newspaper, and the newspaper published it. So it was like, that was neat because it was just something that was my story, and I think sometimes the seeds go all the way back to that and feeling like, wow, I was in the newspaper. And then my family had a publishing company. They did school yearbooks. So I've always been around, like, I love the smell of a print shop. I walked in a print shop about a year ago and I went, oh, and then of course the guy behind the desk was kind of like reaching for the phone, like, do I need to get security? And I'm like, I'm sorry, I grew up in a print shop and I never have this smell, I never get to smell this. So this is like nostalgia for me. Then I married into a family of published novelists. So my husband's mom and his sister both had been writing for, a few years when I came into the family. And until I met them, I don't know who I thought wrote books, but I didn't think real people wrote books. So when I met them and I'm like, well, they're just normal people. If they can do it, I can do it, and at that point I started my first novel, which I was like 18 years old, I was really young. And of course I didn't finish that one or the next 10, but then one year I was laying in bed and I'm going to say I heard a voice, as close to an audible voice as you can, that said, Heather, this is your year. This is your year. And I knew that the voice meant it was my year to finish things that I had started and that I had set aside because we were busy parents. I was working. I was, I helped out, with our youth groups. I mean, busy mom, young kids, the whole everything, and I was like, it's my year. Well, the only thing that I remember that came to my mind was I want to write a book and finish it. And so the next morning, I woke up an hour early and like I would get the kids out of bed at like say 6:30. So I woke up at 5:30 and I knew in that moment, I was like, it's 5:30 in the morning. The house is silent. I have an hour before I have to get anybody up. I could get up and write. And it was the middle of winter. And I was like, or I could curl up in my bed and stay asleep and go back to sleep. But I got up and wrote, and I did that for a year. And at the end of 1 year, I had my first book done 1 hour a day in the morning because the voice said, this is your year.
So you readers that are on here, and those of you who are just kind of a closeted author wannabe, listen to Heather, because what she did is she listened to the small voice inside of her. I think those of us who love to read, and some of us are meant to write, we hear that still small voice and we know. And so listen to Heather. What she did is she decided to do it.
Yeah. I mean, and at that point, once I got one done, I had the bug really bad. So I knew if I finished one, I knew I could continue on. And then within a few years, I had written a couple more books. And within a few years, we were making a big cross-country move. And my husband said, you need to stay home and you need to write full time and, leave your career and write. And I was like, there's a lot of people that do that never, ever sell a book. And he said, don't do it because you want to sell a book. Do it because you love it and you will sell. The money will come. He said, don't do it for the money. The money will come. And then
I love that support.
Yeah. And then he told me.
My husband did. He said, if you don't do it now, it was, I was actually, climbing toward 50. And he said, if you do not do it now, you're not going to do it. So he heard me talking about it for years. And we never went hunting or fishing or on a vacation. In fact, we were in Walt Disney World one time with the kids, and I was at the turnstile with the brand new John Grisham book. And so
now that's not okay.
That's what he said.
Listen, that is disrespecting the Disney. We don't do that.
That's what he said. So, but I've always been, with my nose in a book. So some of us are just book girls. And many of you here that are with us and have been following us on She's Reading, you guys are book girls too, I can tell. So I want to tell you something else. Heather's not telling us, but I'm going to toot her horn. Very few people ever get on the top 100 list at Amazon. And the number one, and Heather did. She did it with, now I want to make sure I say the book right, One Lavender Ribbon. So tell us about One Lavender Ribbon and what that experience was like, because I've not had that experience. I want to live vicariously.
It was so surreal. I just, it just took off, and I think part of it now, it's a contemporary story. It's a love story, but it's so multifaceted, and it gets compared to Nicholas Sparks's The Notebook a lot.
Uh-huh.
Um, and but it
I loved it. That's the one I read even before I met you, and I loved it.
well, it has a World War II tie-in. So she's just, young divorcee is remodeling a home a beach house that she built or that she just bought. She knows nothing about remodeling. She knows nothing about living on the beach. But as she is in the attic, she finds a box of love letters. And the love letters are from a soldier in World War II. And I'm actually going to hold the book up and show you.
Oh, love it.
When they did this as a photo shoot, and my editor at a writers conference brought me this box. I have this box, and
Oh, I love it.
in fact, I'll just show it to you.
Oh, look at that.
And
Oh, what a treasure.
the actual ribbon that's on the cover is inside here. And then my acquiring editor, my acquisitions editor, and my developmental editor both wrote me a letter, and it's inside the box. So like, it was like, I just cried, like I just bawled. But that story happened to release because of the World War II tie-in with the soldier, and the very poignant letters from him to the woman that he left at home and whom he loves. That actually released on the 70th anniversary of D-Day. And so I think that the world was wanting, like, we wanted that nostalgia. And I think that played a big role in the success of One Lavender Ribbon. And I mean, if you just read the reviews on it, like, you cannot read them without just having tears, especially if you go all the way back to when it released, the year it released, which was 2014. I mean, I can't even read them without just crying, because women will say things like, I understand my father now. He was in World War II and now I get it, and stuff like that. And really, it's just a contemporary love story, but it really resonated with people. And so it has a special place in my heart. So
yeah. Well, and it was not the only one. You had a pretty lucrative career for a number of years. In fact, up above your head are some framed photos of some of your bestsellers.
Yes, yeah. So my publisher does an award when you reach 100,000 books sold. And so I have one for One Lavender Ribbon, of course, and then one for a book titled In the Light of the Garden. And then I also have an award for 250,000 books sold for One Lavender Ribbon. So, and it continues to climb, and In the Light of the Garden really does really well too. People just really resonate with those two stories. And I think the new one is going to be like that as well, that just released.
Yeah, I just got my copy, and I'm so excited to read it. We talked a little bit about your new one before we came on here, and Wishing Beach is a story that features a very difficult marriage and the emotions. Tell people about the background of the story and what that new book is about, because it came out just last week and it's already climbing in the ranks. I can see it. It's just people are loving it.
Yeah, I the thing that has been so neat for me is women are reaching out saying, because what we have is we have a woman, Angela, who is out of a narcissistic, relationship. So her husband, complete narcissist. She had no idea. She didn't really know what a narcissist was. And now at the very last possible moment in their divorce, he says, I'm keeping the house. And like, she's just blindsided. Her home, her life, everything is in Connecticut. And she's just so done and she's over it. She says, fine, then I want the beach house. And so she's moved to Wishing Beach Island. I'll hold up the book. So she's moved now to Wishing Beach Island, which has its own little folklore and its own little mysteries about it that are kind of fun, that I like to incorporate sometimes. But she's out of this very, very subtly abusive relationship. And so she's learning how to operate in the world without being in the center of this abusive relationship. And I've had some women contact me and say, you nailed it. You nailed it. That was my story. That is exactly the divorce that I had. And you nailed what women go through, and it's not a heavy book. It's not like it's a real.
I was just going to say, I've read your books and they end
Yes.
hopeful. They end
Very.
on a positive note. They end with the character coming out of this. I like to say women's fiction is a story where a woman comes in the story one way and she leaves changed.
Yeah.
And women leave changed. And this book, I have a feeling, I peeked. I don't read the end, but I just peeked at and I thought, oh yeah. And I read your reviews. People are loving how she changes.
Yeah. And I'm so honored, by that, because I'm not, I have a great marriage. I've had a really, we got married really young. We've stayed married. And so I really had to draw on other women's experiences to be able to do it justice. And I had hoped I did it justice, but that's not the main thing the story is about. It's really about her finding out about this little young romance that happened like 40 years ago. And she wants to know what happened to this young woman that it's her groundskeeper and he was so in love with her, and what happened with them? How did they fall apart when they seem
the
so
story kind of mirrors this couple and this couple.
Yes.
Oh, I love those stories.
Yeah. And then of course, then she gets some adventure. She gets to go to Paris. It really was a fun book to write. Yeah. And
So if you're telling me right, then it's a book a little bit about self-discovery.
Very much. It is, but it's some books are about self-discovery and the storyline is about self-discovery. This has another story thread, but as she's walking this out, she is in her own self-discovery. She's learning who she is and what are her boundaries and what kind of man does she want, and what is she willing to hold out for, or no man at all. So she's finding her way, but it's happening with another story sort of, hugging it, with another story being interwoven, and
her. Yeah.
In a truly beautiful love story from the past, So
it does sound like a Nicholas Sparks book. I mean,
except for I'm not going to kill off one of your main characters at the end. I'll tell you that. That's not going to happen.
He has a way of doing that. He does have a way of doing that. Well, I wanted to ask you a few questions. First of all, before we move on, though, that book just came out. Where is it for sale?
Okay, it's on Amazon. I mean, you can go in your local bookstore and order it. You're probably not going to find it on the shelf, but you could order it. But the easiest way is on Amazon, and it is in Kindle Unlimited. So if you have Kindle Unlimited,
we have a lot of those subscribers here, so y'all can go down and get that book tonight and read it and have your moment. Yeah, absolutely.
I think it's I always love for people to buy my books and to be invested, but I think it's an important book because I think all of us maybe know somebody. It might not be us, but we all know someone who has been in a really difficult divorce, and just seeing there's a really bright, beautiful life on the other side of that, I think can be very hopeful. So.
And I'm a reader who really adores reading marriage books, what I call marriage books. Yeah. And I've written a couple. I've got marriage themes in a lot of mine. We were talking before we came on here, but A Woman of Fortune is one where a woman encounters, we all watch on television when those scandals happen, those political scandals or whatever, and those poor wives have to stand up on the dais and they look like a Mack truck has just hit them, and they have to smile and stand by their man. And I always thought, well, what's their story? What's that like? And so I wrote A Woman of Fortune to portray that kind of story. And like you with the box, this dress, my publisher bought it at Neiman Marcus, and it was navy blue, and they photoshopped it my favorite color red. But I also have the dress.
You have the dress.
Oh. And then in my Pacific Bay series, I did Remember Us, and it's another one where
what I was going to mention is Remember Us. I'm very dynamic.
I've been married a long time too. We celebrated 40 years and we married young. And the thing about marriage is it's just not easy.
Mhm.
There's a reason why we become one. We're not one instantly. And
Right.
it's a process. And I love to explore those processes in books too,
Yeah.
where we look at women's marriages, because marriage, for those of us who are married, and we our partners, we have to do a lot of work to become one, and all those things, going through raising our children and different things and health issues. And so I love those stories because I can connect, and sometimes I can see I'm not alone. I'm not the only one who has had to work through some things in order to get to the place where Alan and I are today, where we're just best friends and we just so enjoy one another. We truly have become one. But reading books helped me to hang on to that sometimes when it was a little hard. So
Well, and two, I think you get another perspective. You see it through the eyes of someone else, and so you can pick and choose. You can go, well, I like the way she handled this, but oh no, honey, you should not have done that.
yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, that's why I love women's fiction, is because I connect so easily to so many of the characters, and I learn something. I learn about myself. I learn about my emotions. I can experience things vicariously without having to step into that world, but I can do it in my mind. And I always have some wonderful takeaway. I feel like that's the draw right now to some of these stories that are a little sweeter and wholesome and gentler stories. People are longing for that right now. We turn the television off and we sink into our novels, and it's a nice, sweet place. Let me ask you a few questions, because I want people to get to know you a little bit, because you show up on your pages so often. I want to know if you could tell your younger writing self anything, what would it be?
That everything's going to be just fine, that you're going to do great. You just be you do you, and don't be afraid, and enjoy every moment, love every minute of it. And that's what I would do, because I have stressed about things. And usually you stress about things that are completely out of your control anyway. But I have stressed about things, and that at different times has taken a little bit of the awesomeness out of the success, because that stress is there. Can I do it again? Can I give them what they want? Can I, and that's the one thing I would say.
And for you readers, one thing that I think most authors share is we have this deep desire to write these stories that you love. Because when you spend time and money on a Kelly Coates Gilbert or a Heather Burch book, we long for you to feel like that time and money was well spent. And so when we're writing, that's always in our minds, that we want to do our very best work for you. Our relationship with you readers is a treasure, and we never want to violate that trust that you place in us. And we want to provide you the greatest stories we can. And so sometimes it's a little pressure, but most often we sit down and we just start writing because we are you, and it just flows. But I'll tell you one thing: when you write those kind of reviews, or you send us a little note or an email telling us that you loved our book, it makes every minute worth it.
They always just the right time too. They always come at like that moment when you're so uncertain, and then you hear someone and you're like, oh, okay, it's all good,
And often those emails will come on the day that Facebook took your advertising platform down, or the wrong file got loaded to Amazon, and you have to scramble and pull it back and do something else, and it's just high stress, and then that email will come, or that review will pop up.
Honestly, I mean, I really do this if I need a boost, like if I feel like I'm getting kind of like heavy laden, or someone has maybe said something that wasn't so nice or whatever, I'll go and I'll read my reviews, and that just perks me right up. And I'm like, I mean, sometimes there's always going to be some bad reviews. I don't read those. I'll read them one time, but I don't read them again. But but those great reviews, because sometimes you make a difference in someone's life, and we need to be reminded of that, that, we saw them through a dark time or whatever. I agree with you, Kelly. People are trading hours of their life to spend with us in the story that we created. And that's your life. It's important. It's it's a holy thing. I mean, it's your life, and you're choosing to spend 7, 8, 9, 10 hours of it, 15 hours of it, however, long, reading. And it's like, that is a really big deal. And so we always have to give you the very, very best. Every single time we got to give you the very best.
I agree.
It's what we do.
Here's a fun question. What did you do with your very first earnings? I mean, did you go out to dinner? Did you buy something kind of cool? Did you take a trip? What did you do with your very first earnings? Like, what was your celebration when you very first got that first check?
I went to the bank and I talked to their financial guy. That's what I did. And I don't know.
Have you ever treated yourself with anything?
Yes. We bought a house. I bought all brand new furniture. Now that wasn't out of the very first check, but but out of a big check, like when a big check came in. In fact, we were watching the numbers, and it was just numbers like we couldn't even imagine, the number of sales. And my husband was like, well, it's, the book is $4.99, $5.99, whatever. He goes, and and you get X amount of that. And if you figure that up, I'm like, just don't. Just don't. Just don't. I don't even want to. I don't even want any kind of number in my head. Just don't. He was like, okay, but out of that, that first really, really stellar check, we we made a down payment on that house that we wanted. And I bought brand new everything. I guess I'm not a real material girl, maybe. And so,
things.
I'll buy whatever, or, my husband's mom is the most amazing decorator. And so she might say something like, oh, I'm getting rid of a dining table. I'm like, yep, I'll take it. So I had never gone out and just bought an entire household of furniture. Like I bought the top of the line, everything with the, and that was amazing. I'll probably never do it again. Even if I can, I'll probably never do it again. But that was really cool. And that was the big thing that we did.
Well, and for those of us who married when we were really young, that was back when you didn't have any money, and
hand-me-downs are a way of life. Yeah.
You had a bridal shower and you coveted all those tea towels and all those things. And girlfriend, I still had them 20 years later. They were like shredding at the hem edges, and I was still washing them. And I was thinking, I can afford a new tea towel. Why don't I go buy one?
Where do they sell tea towels? I don't even know.
I know. I tend to get pretty frugal, and there's, sometimes I think, wait a minute, I can do that now. I put 2 boys through college and help them and then, so I'm glad to know that you spent some things on you.
Yeah, we did a lot of trips too. We've always liked just getting in the car and driving. Because that's all we could afford to do for a lot of years, Yeah. And then our kids got older, and, there was more money and everything. And then, then we could actually do trips, but we did bigger trips. We did longer trips. We did, so, and that was fun. And we did a lot of little weekend trips.
And you raised 2 boys, is that right? Yeah. 2 boys. What do they think of their mom, the novelist?
They're so sweet. They brag about me everywhere,
Oh, that's cool.
They do, especially my younger one, because he was still living with us. My older one's 8 years older than him. Oh. And so when we moved to Florida, my older one, I mean, he was grown, so he stayed here. He was 18, 19, and he was like, no, I'm staying here. My younger one was 11 or 12. And, and I sold very shortly after we moved to Florida. Well, within a year, I think, or within 2 years, I'll say. I got my first contract. And anyone he introduced me to, he'd say, this is my mom, and her name is Heather, and she's also a novelist, and she's really good, and she's a bestseller. And that's kind of how he would introduce me to people. And it was so sweet because usually at that age, they're kind of like embarrassed, by their parents and stuff. No, he was my best salesman.
Yeah. I really see your voice too, but they're proud of me, but they're not readers really. And so it's kind of a non-event really when I have a release and things. I have a girlfriend who hit the USA Today list, and they started a family tradition, and that is that when she releases, they have what they call champagne night out on the patio. They buy really expensive, nice champagne.
Wow.
And their family gathers and they open the nice champagne, and they, so when she has a release, they do a champagne night.
That's awesome. I love that.
That'd be fun. Yeah, that'd be fun. Here's a fun question. What animal best represents you as a writer?
Ooh. I would probably have to say like maybe a leopard.
Oh, a leopard.
Because you kind of sneak along, and then all of a sudden pounce and you're in the story.
It's done. And isn't that the truth? You and I talk about that often, how the story will, we're both pantsers. And so we have some story ideas, some boundaries, and then we're writing. And then all of a sudden that story just gels, and all of a sudden you see it. Yeah. And then you just race to the end because you know it. And I was just, I was laughing a little bit earlier when you said that how you write and your writing style, and you just said you go along and then pounce. Well, I know because I'm your writing partner that you just wrote a book in a month. I am so jealous that you wrote a book. Now I know you're going to go back and you're going to layer and fix and work with your editors and everything, but you wrote the story in a month.
I did.
I was amazed.
And I love this story. I'm so
you said you'd never done that before.
No, I can't wait for it to come out there into the world. And it's a series. So and it's good,
you guys. It's good. You guys want to go to Heather's website and sign up for her newsletter so that you see all her new releases, because I've read them. I know what's coming, and you guys are not going to want to miss out on this.
I'm excited about this series, and it should start releasing in the spring, probably in early spring. So please do sign up for my newsletter because you'll get to know everything that's going on. And you can do that at heatherbirchbooks.com. There's a little pop-up and it will say, would you like a free story? And the story that you're going to get, and that will also sign you up for the newsletter. The story you're going to get.
Free story if they sign up?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And I was just thinking this between now and tomorrow morning, because I get a little ding every time someone signs up and I see your that you've signed up. For every 5 people that sign up tonight and tomorrow morning, but mostly it's going to be tonight because that's when people are probably going to do it. For every 5, I'm going to give away 1 book. So I've got, I have books that are on sale right now. When Lavender Ribbon is one of them. I believe Something Like Family is one of them. And In the Light of the Garden is one of them. These are 3 of my best books. I want you to buy Wishing Beach. It's the new one. Yeah. So I do want you to do that, but I am going to give away 5 for every 5. They're already coming in. There's already 1 and another second one too. There's already 2. For every 5, I'm going to count them. I will count them off and I will keep up with it all night. And for every 5, I'm going to give away 1 book, probably 1 Lavender Ribbon, because that's
wonderful. Oh, that's wonderful.
We'll do that. That'll be fun. I like to do fun stuff, especially this
fun. And I'm really jealous that you get dinged because I don't get dinged. I'm going to have to figure out how you do that.
Yep. But and that's another one.
The other thing that I want, we don't see the comments here because we're interfacing with Zoom. But for all of you who comment and ask any question of Heather, if you have anything that you want to know or any question you have for her or me, put it in the comments. And anyone who comments tonight is going to be in another contest draw for, tell them what they're going to win, because you're going to choose somebody out of the comments.
Yes. And we'll do, well, let's see, what do you all want? Would you like 1 Lavender Ribbon? Would you like
yes
In the
Yeah.
light of the cart, One Lavender Ribbon. Okay.
Yes,
So
give them a copy of that.
we'll do an ebook copy of One Lavender Ribbon for the group here. And then for every 5, so you've got a 1 in 5 chance if you sign up for the newsletter. And
Nice.
already there's going to be one because I've already seen we've got 5 already, right?
Wonderful. That's
So
wonderful.
for everyone that does that, for every 5, we'll do one, and we'll do One Lavender Ribbon because I think that's a book everybody should read.
Oh,
So,
yes, that is. So Heather will announce in the morning. She'll put a post up announcing the winner, and tell all your friends. Tell everybody to come over and comment so that they've got a chance to win that book. And then let's, because our time is getting a little bit tight, I want to do what's called our rapid fire questions. And this is just, I ask this or this, and you quickly answer.
oh no, I know I'm gonna fail. I just know it. All right.
All right. Chocolate or vanilla?
Oh, chocolate. There is nothing but chocolate, and dark chocolate at that.
Dark chocolate.
Dark chocolate.
Pie or cake?
Cake all day, every day. Cake, cake, cake.
What's your favorite cake, by the way?
Oh, anything chocolate. Anything chocolate. Definitely chocolate. Yes.
Okay. Beer or wine?
I actually have kind of acquired a taste for beer a little bit just because I thought a person should be able to appreciate but I'm a wine girl. So
Yeah, I knew that. Stilettos or flip-flops?
Stilettos, baby.
You are probably the only author who says that, but I know because I saw those absolutely gorgeous.
Yeah, I wish I had them.
You were a shoe girl.
If I
Yeah.
knew we were going to talk about it, I would have brought them into my office, but
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
maybe I'll post them as the picture for the giveaway so y'all
Oh,
can.
do. Yeah, they're great shoes. They're so wonderful. Okay, dawn or sunset?
Oh, I thought you were going to say Dawn or some other dishwashing liquid.
No.
I like sunrise. I really do. I love it. Yeah, because it's quiet. Nobody else has it. And I love it off the back of a cruise ship because once in a while you'll see a whale.
Oh, wow. Yeah. And then swimming or walking?
Oh, I like both.
I know.
Oh yeah, I like both. But I mean, you can walk everywhere. So walking.
Okay. Beach or mountains?
Beach.
Mm-hmm.
Easy.
And the funny thing is, your books are set in 2 primary places. Most of them are set in Florida on the beach or the Ozark Mountains.
And you guys are blowing up my newsletter list. I don't know. I have lost count. I was trying to.
Cool.
There's at least.
I told you this group is unlike any other book group.
What an amazing.
This group is active.
What-
In fact, 2 of our authors were on here, and the very next week they hit a USA Today list.
Wow.
Right after being on She's Reading. This group, I love this group. In fact, I get a lot of authors asking to be on here now. So I think we've got a little bit of a reputation out there.
Yeah. You guys.
So, yep. Cook or takeout?
Oh, I like both. When I'm writing a lot, takeout.
Yeah.
Otherwise, cook.
Yeah. Campground or resort?
Resort.
And the last one, flowers or massage?
Massage.
Massage.
Yeah.
I like both a lot.
Yeah.
Well, everyone, it was just so fun to bring Heather here tonight. Again, she's one of my dearest friends, author friends. We work together. But I read her books before I even met her and loved them. And I know that you guys are too. So go out there and buy her new one. Put that book up again, the one that just came out. So they've got it's Wishing Beach by Heather Burch, and it's available on Amazon in KDP. And you guys you will not be sorry if you download this one. I promise. So
in paperback. It's in paperback too.
And paperback for Ruth Benson. It's in paperback. So I hope Ruth is here tonight. She pops in pretty frequently, and she's my paperback reader. She loves paperback.
Mine too, and she's precious.
Yeah, she is. So hi, Ruth, if you're with us tonight.
Ruth.
Yeah. All right. Well, we'll wrap up, but thank you so much for being here tonight. And you guys all comment. And then right after we get off of here, we're going to go over to the Facebook page and we're going to answer all those questions.
And I know I have at least 2 more books to give away because I know at least 10 have hit. And if it hits 15, I'll do a 3rd one. And if it hits 20, I'll do a 4th one. We'll just keep going. So, all right.
Great. All right.
All I'll need for that is, and email it, which I'll have. So we're good. Yeah, that's all I need.
Good. Okay. Good night, everyone. See you in
Bye,
the
everyone.
comments.
Thank you.
All right. Bye-bye.